Do you want to know what the biggest mistake high achieving women make in retirement? It's not overspending. It's actually underspending. Yep. We are such good savers, right? If you're a ruler or you're an accumulator, and if you don't know your archetypes, we can talk about that at the end. But we are very good. We're very responsible with our money. We know how to set it away. We know how to save. And we're so good at that. But then we kind of forget why we're doing that. And I caught myself in this same trap. So stick around and I'm going to talk about the mindset shift that you need to have as you move into retirement to avoid underspending, because that's going to be the biggest shift you need to make as a retiree. So hi, I'm Julianne Price and I'm a second act coach. And my whole goal is to help women who are moving into retirement or early stages of retirement to really start to live their life in a different way, to make that mental shift and to enjoy and love those retirement years. So let's dive into my story and then how it'll help you find your money story as you're moving into retirement. So first off, I had the same career. I was very blessed to be in the same career for a very long time. I started at 22 and I knew when I got to 50, I would have a pension and I could walk out the door at 50. We were a very old school company that actually allowed early retirement at 50. And so I was thrilled. I knew what I had to do to cross that finish line. And then I was very fortunate. We had a pre-retirement seminar early on in my career. So here I am 22 and I'm in this room with all these people who've been working for a very long time and they're preparing for retirement. I'm like, what am I doing here? But I picked up from that the idea of putting money away in a 401k, how to save for retirement, how to not just never live off that money, have it automatically go into your savings accounts and just pretend it was never there. And I did that well, and I did it for 28 years. And so I crossed the finish line. I got 51 in a day, 50 in a day. I walked out the door and retired. And I took that same mindset with me of how to be a saver in retirement. So I knew what my pension was going to be. I created a budget and made sure that I lived just below that income. I knew what it was going to be. And I said, okay, I'm going to pretend like $500 or whatever doesn't exist because life always happens. And I created a budget. And of course, I created a Notion because that's the kind of girl I am. And so I knew how much I could spend on groceries, how much I could spend on gas, what my fixed bills were going to be, and how much. I also had that budget for those extras for eating out and just things I wanted to buy. I had a holiday budget. I had a vacation budget, right? I did it all. And I was living by that for a couple of years. And then one day, I was sitting down with my financial planner for our annual review, and he looks at me and he puts all my charts up on the screen. He says, well, now let's talk about this. He said, see, you did a great job saving, and actually right now, you're a millionaire. I looked at him like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, you actually, I can't touch the money. It was all in accounts. But he's like, if you look at this and you look at your pension income and look at what you've saved, you're a millionaire. And the problem is you're not living like it. He said, you've done all this great job saving money, but now it's time to spend money. It's like we were such good savers, we forgot why we were saving. And I was like, oh. He's like, you're supposed to spend this money now. He said, unless you want to save it all for your kids and give it off to them upon your death. I'm like, well, no. He's like, really? He's like, you got to start spending this money. It's here for you to enjoy. I was like, but I don't want to run out of money. And he's like, no, you have plenty of money. You're never going to need all this money and you'll still have money to live to give your kids. It's time for you to start spending it. What a mindset shift. It was just like, boom, like, what? Wow, I get to have play money? And he's like, what would make a difference to you? And we're going back and forth about numbers. He's like, how much play money do you want? And he said, I've run some different scenarios on how we can do this. What a wake-up call for me. It was such a mindset shift. And if you're watching this video still at this point, I'm betting that you've done the same thing, right? You have a great savings account and you're living below your means because you're being responsible. And now it's time to sit back and obviously sit down with your financial planner. I'm not here to give you financial advice, but it's time to look at your finances and say, well, do I want some play money? Is there room for me to start enjoying this retirement instead of living so frugally and worrying about every penny? And that has changed everything for me. That has made such a mindset shift to walk out. I still don't feel like I'm a millionaire because it's put away in accounts so I can't touch, but there is money that I can touch. And he explained that all to me. And I want to share the two kind of mindsets he offered me. He said, you can pick from bucket A or bucket B. Which way do you want to go? So I'll share those with you. So this first one was the philosophy of retire fast to retire slow. That's how those were his words. And it's the fact that when you're younger in retirement, so I retired at 50, so I'm still very young and I get lots of energy. And he said you could spend more money now and do more things now because you're young and you're supposed to be out there, you're supposed to be enjoying things. And then you could tailor back and kind of tighten the finances later in life when your 80s, 90s, and you're not going to be moving around so much. Your lifestyle is going to be more sedentary. He's like, so you could retire fast, spend more money now, and then as life goes on, spend less money and kind of you're not going to have the needs. You're not even going to have to pay for your house anymore. You're certainly not going to be supporting your kids, but you're also going to have done all that sowing your wild oats kind of thing and your second oats maybe in retirement. So that's one way of doing it. Or the other way is you could just have a steady, sustainable allowance. Remember when you had allowance at kids? This is your play money fund, and you can have that same fund. And he showed me projections like we could take out X dollars for the rest of your life, and you won't run out because you're over year, you're earning more than you're taking out of this fund. So you'll still have plenty to give off to your kids, but you can also play and have a lot more fun and have this steady allowance. I was like, wow, that is so cool. And so I really had to sit down and think about it. He's like, so look at both scenarios and get back to me as to which one you want to do. I'm like, oh. So I went home and I really thought about it and I said, well, I could always change my mind, right? I could go to the retire fast, but I decided to start with a steady income. I said, let's do this for the first year. Let's just give me some play money every month. And I'll know that's not in my budget. Like my budget will be my budget. This is money on top of, so I can do different things. And so then I had to really think about, okay, now I have this money. And it's funny how it takes us time to, okay, mentally I knew it, but the pattern, the habits were still there. And I had to take time. And I'm glad I took that year to just be on this little bit of play money income because I had to adjust to the fact that the money was there and how to spend it. Because I was still like, and I still keep my budget. It's like, okay, I have X dollars. I have a $200 eating out budget every month. And so I'd be watching that and going, oh, I'm getting close. I should cut back on the Starbucks. So you have to think like, oh no, wait, it doesn't matter. I have my play money fund and I haven't even tapped into that. The first 2 months, I didn't even touch the play money fund. I went through and lived my actual budget and this extra money was coming in my bank account. And I was like, oh yeah, it's there. So it took me some time to get used to it. And I share that this mindset shift doesn't happen overnight. Like first there's the aha bomb, like woof. And then you need to kind of ease into, oh, I can do this. So some of the things that I did to ease into it was when I went away, we had a weekend trip. And I actually ate in the hotel restaurant, which you never do, right? You know the hotel restaurants are so much more expensive. And my daughter and I we sat at the bar, we had dinner, I ordered a drink, and I was like, these are things I would never do. I would always be like, okay, let's look at the nearby restaurants and, save some money out there. I was like, wow, I had this play money. I knew it was there and I knew I hadn't touched it. And so I could go out and really enjoy an evening on the town. In this case, it was an evening in the hotel because it was raining and I didn't want to go out. I was like, wow. And then I started to do other things. Like for the one thing I really encourage you, and at least for me, it made a huge difference, was spending money on continuing ed that was fun. So it used to be continuing ed was to further my career. Now it was, oh, how can I just, I took a soap making class, a candle making class, just little things like that. But I also took some bigger programs that were several $1,000s because they were of interest to me. It was like, this doesn't have any other purpose but then to be fun and to be like one class I'm taking is really about enlightenment and how to find more purpose and meaning in your life. But it's not to make money. It's just for enjoyment and to have a richer life experience. And so now I have this budget and I can spend this money and it's like, wow, what a change it's been in my life. And I offer this to you to sit down with your financial planner and to really look at where are you at in life and what is your goals? Is it to leave a legacy for your kids? And that's great if it is. But if it's to really enjoy life more, then go back and think about which of these options would you like? Would you like to retire fast and really do a lot of traveling right now? Or would you like the play money option, which is what I went with? And can you change? Talk to your financial planner. Like, are there opportunities to maybe switch from one to the other? Or maybe you do the retire fast and you plan it for 5 years and you budget, what can you spend in those 5 years? And then you're going to slow down. I don't know. You got to find out what's right for you. And that, again, I'm not trying to give you any financial advice. I want you to reach out to your planner. But I have to tell you, I'm loving life. And somebody who's very responsible like me, it's still a luxury I'm getting used to, is, buying tickets to the theater and knowing that I don't have to put that in my budget. Buying, this is a new chair I just bought, and I didn't have to put it in my budget. I'm like, I have this extra money to spend, and I can buy these little luxuries. And if you have a romantic as one of your archetypes, your romantic will love this, because buying little luxuries is always like, it's just that spice of life. And you get to do this. You worked so hard. You achieved so much, and it was all for this point. I think we all forget that you crossed the finish line. Now you're in your second act, and you get to do it differently. You don't have to bring that frugal mindset forward. You can actually have that little bit of a splurge mindset. And your monthly play money might be different. Everybody's going to have a different amount, but that's where your financial planner can really help you decide, what do you get to play with and how do you get to have fun. Now, if you don't know your archetypes, I've talked a lot about that. Your archetypes actually help you with this mindset shift of what archetype really wants to save money and which archetype really wants to enjoy some of the luxuries in life. And I do an energy assessment and an audit that will go through your archetypes and help you decide which ones are acting in your life and how to lean into them, and how to say, let some of them relax. Because especially if you're an accumulator, you save, 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 and you're always worried about that rainy day. You've made it. You cross the finish line. You don't have to save some more. So knowing your archetypes will help you kind of deal with some of those patterns that you need to release, and some of the beauty that you want to step into. So I'll put the link below. It's free. It's a beautiful assessment, and it'll really help you understand not only what archetypes are working, but also your energy. Like, what is the energy you want to lean into? Because if you're trying to decide if that retire fast method is right for you versus the play money, knowing your energy is your currency in that second act, knowing what your energy drains are and what your energy boosters are will help you decide which of these paths is right for you. And maybe your financial planner will even have a third path that we haven't discussed. So I encourage you to meet with your financial planner. I also encourage you, before you do that, take your energy audit and your archetypes so that you know kind of who's at play here, who's working behind the scenes, and how you can really, really enjoy the second act from a financial perspective. So I'll talk to you next time. Have a great day.